3, 2, 1.
What's up, everyone? Dan here, Crypto Capital Ventures, September 3rd, 2018. Happy Labor Day. And I'm laboring, but I wanted to do a quick video. So it's not going to be anything crazy. It's going to be a very brief, quick overview. Just something for you to look out for in Litecoin if you're watching Litecoin today. This is what I'm going to be doing on my phone throughout the day, just watching these levels. And really just curious to see what Litecoin does next. Everybody's very interested. And we have to keep an eye on Bitcoin in terms of checking out what Litecoin does. So I'll start with Bitcoin for around a minute, and then we'll look at Litecoin on the daily and the 4 hour. So let's jump in and do this. Bitcoin, obviously, in this ascending wedge type of pattern right now, approaching this longer term neckline that we have in this inverse head and shoulders, possibly on the weekly forming. We're not quite there yet. We're definitely approaching this very key area, this rectangle that I have here, which is based off of Fibonacci resistance, the 200 EMA resistance. But on the very short term, and I'll even do this on the daily chart, it's not a big deal, just to get an idea of where we are. Just need to zoom in a little bit. On the very short term, if Bitcoin does go up, what we're going to look for is kind of just possible resistance up here at the top of this wedge. So right around 2% is what I'm looking for next resistance, and possibly that area we need to break through. The question is, are we even going to go up from where we are, or are we going to be going down, being we're quite overbought on the stock RSI? So it seems more likely that we might come down and at least test the 50 EMA, if not the bottom of this wedge, for that would be a price range of around, the 50 EMA, 5% down to around 7%, 5 to 7% on the downside for support. So let's hop over to Litecoin and see what that looks like. On Litecoin, we've been talking about basically this neckline area that we broke through the other day, and we talked about coming back down and visiting that for support. And so far, we've actually done that, right? So that's very good to see. But if we zoom in on the 4 hour, we can really get a sense of possibly, maybe on the short term, what's going on here, and also what could happen on the downside if we don't hold support. And we kind of have two patterns happening right now, right? So let's first take this short term, very short term, and you can see it, descending triangle happening. And interestingly enough, the bottom of this triangle, that support area, is really that neckline that we've been keeping an eye on, and the 200 EMA is right below that. So really interesting support area to watch on the shorter term, and that's really why I wanted to do this video. It gives us a really cool area to watch out for the downside. So you can see right now from where we are, and I know we're very zoomed in here, and we're really just kind of getting a sense on the very short term what could happen. But if you kind of take where we are now and you bring it down to that 50 EMA support, this is a potentially what we could be looking like on the short term time frame if we are to come down a little. First off, that 50 EMA right around 3.5-4%, and then the bottom of this longer term channel around 7%, if not a little bit over 7%. So it really is in pretty good harmony in terms of what Bitcoin is doing on the downside. So if we visit that 50 EMA on the daily or the bottom of that wedge, Litecoin on the downside really kind of seeing similar support areas. So I like when Bitcoin and Litecoin both have good technicals going for them, where their 5% losses would bring them down to a similar support area. So that's kind of happening right now for Bitcoin and Litecoin. So I guess the question is, what's more likely, right? Are we more likely to go up from here or go down from here? And I think if you look at both daily charts, Litecoin and Bitcoin, so here's Litecoin on the daily, you can see Litecoin also in that overbought area. It makes sense that we might get a little bit of a pullback. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but if we get a pullback on Litecoin, we're obviously going to break through this neckline and test these areas in this bottom support area that we have for Litecoin. So that's kind of what I'm looking at on the 4 hour. So basically two things. First off, this support area, will it hold? If you want to talk about upside really is, for Litecoin, I'm looking to see if Litecoin can break this area, which is this previous lower high on this descending triangle, right around $66.20 or so. So you can see on the upside, if you want to measure how far away we are on the upside from that area, and this is what you can look out for on the short-term upside, we're around 2%. So are we going to see 2% gains in the market today? I don't know, but it could be a very short-term bullish move, just because we have a ton of support we need to stay above. So going upward and breaking this descending triangle would be important on the short term for Litecoin. So time will tell if that happens. Keep an eye on it. That's what I'm keeping an eye on. But like I said, both Litecoin and Bitcoin overbought. And so it makes sense that if Bitcoin were to come back down on that oscillator, that stock RSI, you can see that we might see those 7%, a 7% downside possibly to test this support area. So that's kind of what I'm anticipating more than the upside is possible pullback right now on both Litecoin and Bitcoin. So that would, a 7% downside for Bitcoin on the short term, maybe in the next day or so, would bring us to around $6,800. So something to be prepared for, something to look out for. I could be wrong. We can go out from here. We could get a bullish break through all this resistance area, which is what I would love to see happen, but always want to be prepared in terms of where we are from a momentum standpoint. Momentum might have us coming back down in both Bitcoin and Litecoin. Time will tell. Wanted to keep this video short, give you something to look out for on this Labor Day weekend, this Labor Day Monday. I hope you've enjoyed your weekend so far, and I hope you have an awesome day today. Let me know your thoughts on what's going on with the markets. Are you seeing the same resistance that I am? Do you think we're going to go back down a little bit in the shorter term? Let me know. Curious of what you think. Appreciate all of you coming by. I will see you in the next video, and God bless.